Know what to eat, but find yourself not eating it. Perhaps you've been on diets and off again and just wonder why you can't stick to them. The Eating For You podcast, hosted by me, Sally Ann Pisk, will show you what's been missing so you can enjoy a healthier way of eating that lasts.
Hi, Sally Ann here. I'm really excited to be back with Angela Mills again today to talk about everything fit and fabulous.
Hello, Sally Ann, and how are you today?
Yeah, look, Angela, I'm great, but I'm really starting to think about the countdown to Christmas. And whilst it's exciting, there's a few things I have to get done before that magic day.
I don't know if it's just me, but it does feel like the silly season just starts earlier every year, doesn't it?
Oh, well, like I said, I think it just depends on how organised we are. But also I think something to be mindful of is that, you know, it is just an artificial deadline for a lot of things that we have to get done. You know, sometimes I think we can create a bit too much stress at this time of the year.
That's very true. And it's always a time when you try to catch up with people you haven't seen for a long time. And every year we say, oh, we shouldn't leave it till Christmas next year. So I think one of my to-do things this period will be, as soon as I catch up with everyone, I'll make an appointment to see them in September next year, so that we're not this close to Christmas and trying to squeeze everything in.
Yeah, or maybe, you know, plan to catch up with, you know, different friends at different months of the year.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's spread out.
You know what will happen. We'll be in the same predicament this time next year, won't we?
Yeah, but even so, you know, like just that, oh yes, let's all catch up. It does then disrupt our routine, which can impact on our eating and also our movement.
Definitely on movement, and as any fitness studio owner will tell you, this is the time of year when we start to see numbers sadly dwindling a little bit, and it's a shame because this is the time of year where it's so important to maintain some routine. You know, in the middle of all this other chaos going on around us, we'd feel so much better if we maintain some movement through that period.
And I think that's a really important part that, you know, we sort of joke about that stress, you know, with the deadline heading up to Christmas. But exercise, movement of any kind can be really quite calming and, you know, just cut down that emotional stress that we're feeling.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much evidence, you know, to support the fact that exercise is a means of stress release, and that's why it's so good to be able to, you know, keep to some routine, especially during stressful periods like this run up to Christmas. But it's not just that as well. It's the fact that there's so much more socialising being done at this time of year as well. And, you know, we do subject our bodies to a lot more trauma than we would at other times with partying and, you know, probably eating too much and not moving as much as we should and so on.
Yeah, at this time of the year, I spend a lot of time talking to my ladies about social eating strategies, because it can be that situation where you know you're going to be catching up with a certain friend or family member who, one of their ways of showing love is to feed you, but you know, and it's about having, you know, eating strategies in place that you can gracefully say no and know ahead how to manage that. And I imagine keeping activity going for some people, you just about need a social strategy for exercise as well.
You know, I was going to say, it's exactly the same when it comes to movement and exercise, because we are putting ourselves through so much more, especially and I think the eating front is definitely something at Christmas. Like you said, you're seeing those people. You're probably eating out a lot more as well. So it's richer food. There's more alcohol involved for many people as well. And it is something that just totally throws your body balanced, doesn't it, in other ways? Yeah. So that's why trying to make sure that you've very much planning, you've got a movement strategy to get you through this period is very important.
Yeah, so we were talking before, Angela, about, you know, that importance of routine and as much as possible trying to keep whatever your routine is in place during this period of time as well. Even if it's not 100%, you know, doing something is got to be better than doing nothing.
Absolutely. And, you know, many things do need to, you know, be left on the curb this time of year because, you know, we've got so many other things to, you know, to work on towards Christmas. But exercise shouldn't be one of them because it's what's going to help us get through it. And I think you were telling me some stats earlier, weren't you, on on weight gain over the Christmas period.
So basically in Australia, from around the beginning of Christmas to Australia Day, and this is why I think we struggle so much in this country, is that we love this time of the year. It's our summer. It's our summer. But it's not just about planning for Christmas Day or New Year's Day. It's planning from really probably the end of November right through Australia Day.
Absolutely.
So for a lot of my ladies, just not putting on weight at Christmas time is an achievement, when in the past, looking at the average weight gain over this period of being anywhere between 4 and 8 kilos.
I know, it's the scary statistics, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that's also why, the fitness industry loves the whole, 1st of January, let's go on a diet, but, mentality, which
it's really
sad. So few people ever stick to, because you're just doomed to fail by day 4, aren't you? Because it's not sustainable.
Yeah. So, Angela, what would you suggest to help people keep movement into their day, during this busy time, but also a time when we can benefit from moving from a physical and mental
I'm so glad you asked. Because, look, other than trying to maintain your current fitness routine as much as possible, if you've got that weekly class that you go to, or that, the weekly sort of walk that you do with, with friends, really just try and keep it in that calendar as much as you possibly can as a starting point. But also, I think it's a matter of starting to look a bit more strategically at your social engagements that are coming up, especially with friends that you don't see very often. So you're going to do a one-off thing with them, you won't see them till this time next year. Does it have to be sitting down to an evening meal in a restaurant where you go through the whole sitting down for 4 hours and you're just eating a heavy meal and drinking with it? Can it be a lunch where you do a walk beforehand or afterwards, or can it be a tennis match and you finish off with lunch at the end of that? Or is it just a social activity catch up rather than a meal, given that we're all so busy at this time of year?
Yeah, no, to remind me, when you were saying about, committing to that weekly class or that weekly session or whatever it is that you really enjoy and don't want to give up. I have a friend, and there is no way he'll miss his yoga class. It's you just know that that's in his diary and he sticks to it. And I think, we can do this. We just don't understand. Most people are really understanding if they're trying to catch up or trying to organise a time with you. If they know ahead of time that, we know Sally Ann's not available on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night, whatever the night is, then let's work around that.
Yeah. And I think personally, you have to protect your time as well, because at the end of the day, time can very easily be stolen from us. Yeah. And we're often very good at, especially as women, bending backwards to try to fit in with other people's schedules, and often it's that at the cost of ourselves, isn't it?
That's right.
And our own sort of, I guess, sanity and our own sort of body health.
Oh, definitely. And I think we lose track when we don't own our time. We lose track of how much we do just let slip by.
Yeah.
We think, this one occasion, it won't matter. But what happens, especially at a busy time of the year, approaching Christmas and New Year, is that there's so many things that come up. And before we know it, a week's gone past, we haven't been for our walk, we haven't done our online yoga class or Pilates class, and then it's like starting to feel all too hard.
Absolutely. And you've got the extra strain of you having to organise social engagements maybe as well, whether it's for the family get-togethers and things like that. And unless you've looking after yourself first, you're sort of not as well, I guess, empowered to do everything else that's on your plate.
No, that's right. And it's about this time of year looking at, simplifying things like that. And I sort of think about, what can you do? We're really lucky here in the Blue Mountains, obviously. When we have visitors come, there's often walks we can do, and we can go out and explore different places. And even if it's a warmer day, although with maybe another wet summer, we're not quite sure what we're going to have.
Who knows what we're going to have, yes.
We're going to have a mixed bag, I think, for planning outdoor activities. But we can go for a walk. You can go to a scenic lookout. You can go into a rainforest, or even in a city. There's some beautiful gardens you can explore. If it's a little bit hot or a little bit too wet, then why not just take some time to go around an art gallery or a museum, and you're moving, and this is what it's all about.
Absolutely. And the thing is, you even having picnics, as get-togethers, weather permitting, you're giving an opportunity for people to move and, branch off and do little things. And, if you've got kids in your circle, they're off doing stuff as well. So you're doing them a favour by, giving them an opportunity to move and be outdoors as well. We're all getting vitamin D. Let's hope we have some sunshine. All I can say is let's hope we have sunshine this summer.
Yeah, no, and it's so true. But I think the other part of exercise we were talking about before is that when we're looking at, the bigger gatherings, perhaps families coming together or extended families coming together, we kind of don't realise that as much as we love catching up with people, it is an unnatural kind of experience for us all, because we've all come from our own little houses, our own little worlds, right. And then all of a sudden we're together, which is lovely. But I often think, if I can make the excuse to go for a walk or something, it's like, sometimes people will come with me, but it's still nice just to be moving in nature and getting out of the house.
Absolutely. And it breaks the day. Often it's a very long day if you're doing family things as well. I think quite often they tend to become, rather than a meal, it becomes a day of sort of indulgence. And it breaks the day a bit, getting out as well. It gives you an opportunity to connect with some people. If you go out for a walk with people you haven't seen for a while, do your catch up there. It actually definitely can add a bit more of a fun element to what is otherwise becomes, at times for a lot of people, a tough, engagement. Sometimes it can be quite strenuous, and quite stressful, the whole family thing.
And this is what I find, talking about the stress as well, that's where, the stress eating can come in as well, because if we have a tendency or a habit to eat when we feel emotional, stressed, tired, then this is the perfect storm, because there's generally food everywhere, not necessarily all nutritious food and nourishing food. We go for whatever's there in front of us, and of course that is not only the lack of exercise as it contributing to potential weight gain over Christmas. It's that extra food we eat when we're not actually hungry. So if we can build in that stress management relaxation time for ourselves as well, then that decreases the stress levels, and that let me find some food to comfort and soothe myself, which can be a go-to.
Yes. Well, I know with my family over the last few Christmases, we've got this lovely habit of actually meeting for breakfast. And we do that down at the beach in Sydney, because my brother lives very close to the ocean. And it has really transformed our Christmas in many ways, because most of us will go for a swim, and usually at that time of the day it's not so busy down there as well, and we will have like a little like a breakfast buffet, so it's just nibbling type of food, so you eat or you don't eat depending on whether you want to or not, and everyone goes for a walk, so and it's it's just a really nice way of adding a bit more to the day than just food.
That's right.
The day's not centered around eating.
No, that's right. And one of our traditions when my sister's children were much younger was cricket matches after whether it's Christmas or Boxing Day or New Year's Day, sort of lunches and things like that. So it's kind of a good idea, I find, to have a few of those things at your hand, sort of you've thought about beforehand, if we've got the cricket set there, have we got a soccer ball, have we got a frisbee, anything that can just break up being inside and going outside and moving, and for those who want to, not everyone might want to do it, but it gives you an opportunity just to have some fun, some laughs, especially if you haven't, hit a cricket ball for a while. That's often pretty funny when you can't hit it.
Yes, that's right. And I think when you're actually hosting an event around Christmas, I think these are really good things to think about beforehand. It's part of being a responsible host in many ways, in terms of adding some diversity to the day and giving people an opportunity to do something other than just overindulge. Yes. And you'll find often that people are very grateful for it as well. Because we're all I think as a society we're all becoming a lot more conscious of the consequences
I know
of this time of year.
Just as you were saying the word indulgence, I remember an episode of The Vicar of Dibley, and I think she got invited to 3 Christmas lunches one year, and she couldn't say no to any of them.
Oh, you feel for big families, don't you, when you have to
travel around and go to different places.
Try to squeeze in all the different relatives during the day.
And it just reminds me of something ladies often ask me in our coaching calls about, should I have food there, if people just happen to pop in? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, yes and no. It's obviously a very nice, hospitable thing to do, but often when people come, they don't actually want to eat any food. But if you offer them food, they'll feel obliged to eat. Yeah. And so it's just another way of looking at, especially at this time of the year where food's everywhere, people are often just happy to have, maybe a coffee, a tea, a water, or a soda water or something, because they really have had enough to eat.
That's right. We do need a break from eating. And I think the fact that we're so busy talking to people over this period of time means that we're seated a lot of it.
Yeah.
And that's, again, it's another good reason to, people come over and they're only dropping in for a cup of tea. Well, let's go for a walk to the nearest park and walk back again rather than just, sit in the house, especially if they don't really feel like a cup of tea or coffee. Great.
Let's go
for a walk.
Always a good solution.
Have you ever seen what's on our park down the road? Well, let me show you.
And we were sort of saying before too, to think about the activities leading up to Christmas a bit differently as well. We're talking about, if you do have to go shopping, and it's busy, well, maybe you do have to park the car a little bit further away and you can and walk and just think about, all that Christmas shopping, all those steps you're taking. Enjoy it, enjoy the movement and just see it as, this is not just shopping, this is actually movement for me. And
we were talking about this just earlier because I'm one of those few people that actually enjoys the bustle of shopping at Christmas, and I love to just cram it into one day. And it's a big day, but for me, that's just a go day. I'm on my feet all day. I feel like I've had a workout, like a major workout, when I do that, and I feel good for it. I think the fact that you're moving around really gives me a different type of energy.
And I think it's like a lot of things in life. It's just changing our perspective, isn't
Absolutely,
it? About how we can move, how we can enjoy that movement, how we can enjoy this time of year without dreading the stress, without dreading, potential weight gain.
Yes.
It's not essential to gain weight over Christmas. It's totally avoidable. So keep your spirits up, everyone. It's really a time to enjoy, but just keep the things going that work for you.
And I find, often there's a resistance to it. Even ourselves. We're all going to put our hand up and say there are times when you really would rather just be sitting there and having a drink, but you never ever regret getting up and moving. No. You feel so much better for it afterwards. Yeah. And that's the thing. A walk's going to put you in a much better place mentally than a glass of wine.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. And I think it's, as we were saying before, it's about planning ahead. We may not be able to maintain everything in our routine, but doing something is better than nothing. The toolkit of having some things online that you can do is beneficial. If you can go outside for a walk, then that's easy to do.
And also, I should mention, this is a time of year when many of us do have an annual holiday somewhere, regionally. And often, when we go to new places, that's an opportunity to get that extra movement in there. You're exploring a new town or more, walking on beaches or doing more active things. And that's a great way to, really plan ahead that holiday. Like you said, it's all about planning. Yep. Plan so that you do have an active holiday. Yeah. And that way it does make you, bring some balance back to what otherwise might be a very unbalanced period of the year.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point, that we may not be able to do exactly what we would do, for the rest of the year in terms of going to gym classes or whatever because we're away, but we can substitute that movement for something else, and it can also be a great time to catch up with people, as we said as well.
The other thing I should mention is, obviously, gym classes will close over Christmas and so on. But there's so much online, like I know with my own online membership as well now, we do have options, even if it's just a 10-minute, sort of roll your mat out and do a Pilates or a yoga session at the beginning of the day before it all becomes too hectic. you feel so much better in your own skin for having done it. You feel less stress, less guilt, because you know you're at least doing something good for yourself, and that way you don't feel as if the whole day or the whole season is just taking away your sense of control.
And that's
get it in early.
That's a really good point, because that comes up so much in my conversations with ladies about eating. That lack of control is really frightening and can be really scary. So it's just doing those little things that allow you to maintain that control without being obvious in the social setting.
And not beating yourself around about the fact that you're just not getting in your 25k run or whatever your fitness thing is. You know, there are going to be some changes over this period, but you know, do something. Like you said, something is better than nothing. And that way you can just enjoy this period of the year for all the right reasons.
That's right. And Angela, where can everyone find out more about your online program?
Okay, well, my website is fitandfabulousonline.com, and if you go onto the website, I do have a 14-day free, trial or check it out kind of thing, which is obligation free, and on there we have a range of workouts. They're very much tailored for women 40 and up, so really taking into account the fact that the body does require a different approach at this point, and it's as much about maintaining your hormonal balances as much as anything over this period as well. And there are workouts ranging from about 10 minutes to an hour up there. Very Pilates centric, a lot of stretching workouts up there as well. Good strong focus on mobility as well.
No, that's lovely. And I'll be sharing the links to Angela's social media sites and the online program in this episode's notes. So Angela, thanks for all of those tips and our discussion about how to keep moving through the festive season. And I look really forward to catching up with you in the new year.
Thank you very much, Sally Ann. And you have a wonderful, wonderful festive season as well.
Yes.
And same to everyone out there in our audience. And see you in 2023. It sounds scary talking about it, doesn't it?
It does, but that's life, isn't it? It keeps moving, and we need to keep moving with it.
Absolutely. I'll see you then.
You have been listening to the Eating for You podcast with Sally Ann Pisk, ready to ditch diets and receive support for a lifelong way of eating. Then join me in a free 45-minute Foundations Mindful Eating call. The booking link is included with this episode's notes.